Welcome everyone to a brand new episode of the Theatre Thoughts podcast. We're going all the way over to the UK today to talk with a comedian, improviser and creator of Improv Your Life. She's also the assistant artistic director for Showstoppers, the Improvised Musical, regularly appeared in shows such as Drunk History, The Now Show and Josh Howie's Losing It, and has been awarded as Best Newcomer nominee and Best Musical Act and reviewed as little less than a comic genius by The Telegraph. Please welcome Pippa Evans to the podcast.
Oh, hello. Welcome to me.
Thank you so much for jumping on for a chat.
There's nothing I would rather do at 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning, Justin, than hang out with you.
Thank you so much. It means a lot. It's a late night here and then early night there, so I really appreciate you jumping on for a chat. So you're on to talk about Showstoppers. Now, Showstoppers is, for those who don't know, an improvised musical. And I remember the very first time I saw it in the UK, I had to come and see it because I was like, how the hell do you do an improvised musical? And let's just say when I saw it, the answer was very much laid out in front of me, and it was pure genius, to be honest.
Wow. So when did you see it? How long ago was that?
Oh, that would have been in probably 2016 or 17. It was a while ago.
Okay, so that would have been just after we'd done our West End run and been awarded the Olivier Award. So that's a shiny award that we're very proud of. And in fact, we're the first and still the only improv theatre show to have won an Olivier Award, which is a big deal for improv land because improvisation is so often seen as a silly little thing that you do at university. And so we're really like, yeah, we won, we did it. We showed you that it can be really good, actually. Improvisation doesn't have to be in a room above a pub, there can be quality.
Exactly. That's so true. And like I said, when I saw it, it was so well laid out and so cleverly done. And I still have to this day the intermission song in my head. I remember what the show was called for that night. It was called Love in Aisle 5. So it was set at a supermarket, and it was a love story. It was set in a supermarket, and the intermission song, I believe it went something like, excuse my bad singing here, something like cleaning up on R5. And it was just like, it just went like that. And we all left at intermission singing, cleaning up. It was great.
That's so funny that you remember it. And what's really, so I was talking to a producer the other day and they said, don't you get really upset that it's just gone, it's disappeared, the show, you do one show and then it's never to be seen again. But so often whoever's seen the show remembers bits of it, and so often Showstoppers will be like, you'll be like walking along the road and someone will just jump in front of you and go, I had a cup of tea on a Tuesday. You're like, what is happening? And they're going, don't you remember from the show Tea for Two? And so people that were there really connected with that show because of course each show is made for the audience in the room, and that's what we love about it so much, is that show is unique to that room and will never could only be made because of the people in that room, the audience and the actors, and would, even if you said, okay, tomorrow let's just do the same show again, it would be impossible to do it. It's just absolutely impossible to try and recreate the magic of one night. So that's what we love about it. And of course, what is really terrifying about it as a performer, and the thing you have to get used to, is the fact that every night you're back with the empty page and you have to say, yes, again tonight, we promise we will make you a musical and it will be of a good quality.
It is a good quality as well. And I was like, okay, so yeah, they'll do some songs, they'll do some like lyrics and make up some words, but I didn't expect you to make up choreography as well. That was the part that just kind of pushed it over the edge for me. I was like, okay, this is incredible.
Right. Well, so, and again, the show, we've been doing this show for 15 years now, maybe even longer. My maths isn't great at this time on a Sunday morning, but with the first shows we did, the choreography wasn't really there. We did the little tiny bit of dance. We got a couple of people in to help us learn a few dance moves, but learning to improvise choreography was really one of the hardest skills that we had to learn. And this wonderful performer, Ali James, joined the company. I can't remember exactly when, but I'm going to say 7 years ago. I don't know. And she just brought with her this wealth of knowledge, where she could, because she is a choreographer and a dancer, so she could put the improvisation onto the skill of choreography and then figure out what it was we needed to learn and how we could communicate to each other, because all of it's about communication, right? It's all about, I make an offer of an idea to someone, and someone hears what I say or sees what's on my face, and they know where I want to go narratively or character fully or musically, sing a line of a song. But to be able to communicate a dance move to someone is a completely different language, especially if you haven't got dance training. And a lot of us in Showstopper do not have dance training, and you can definitely play Spot the People with dance training.
It's like, it's that one, not that one. That's pretty impressive.
Probably not that one, but I tell you what, they've got great comedy timing.
And that's all that matters. Well, before we run too far away on the Showstoppers train, I'd love to know, and for our audiences, more about you and your history with theatre and improvisation as well. So I guess if you could go into a little bit about yourself and a bit of your history in theatre.
A performer talking about themselves. I'll see if I can manage it. I started off doing a lot of performing at sort of school and all, as a lot of had a good night, went to a nice school where they encouraged the arts, and I did a lot of performing, and I would do assemblies. Sometimes I would take assembly. And I really enjoyed just standing in front of people and sort of telling a story or talking about something, or and then I would write things and we would perform them or whatever. Because the headmistress decided she didn't want to do assembly anymore, so they would just find anyone else who would want to do it. And guess who would step up to the plate? Pippa Evans. So I loved, I loved two things. I loved stand-up comedy. I loved all of the sort of British comedians of the time, which was like Victoria Wood and Jack Dee and Lee Evans and Billy Connolly and Joe Brand and French and Saunders. So all these sort of brilliant, funny people. I thought being funny was really cool. But I also loved Whose Line Is It Anyway? The amazing 90s improvisation TV show, which will never be beaten, actually, because it was so perfect and so joyful and so simple. And I don't know if we would even allow a show to be that simple ever again. So those were my heroes, the improvisers of Whose Line Is It Anyway, and the comedians. And so when I left school, I did a stand-up comedy course and started doing gigs. But I was only 18 and I didn't have anything to say really of any interest. So I stopped doing stand-up comedy. But part of the stand-up comedy course was a day where we did improvisation, like Whose Line Is It Anyway? And it was the one day where I really felt like, I've arrived. Hello. And so the guy teaching the class was like, "Oh, you've really got something there. I think you should really think about that." Which, of course, at the time, with my little insecure 18-year-old brain, I went, "It means he thinks I'm not funny enough to be a stand-up comedian."
Oh no!
But what he was saying was,
like me.
You know what I mean? He was exactly, they don't like me. But actually, what he was saying was, "Look, here's a thing where you blossom." So that sort of started that journey. So then I sort of went to university and did drama, and then I sort of did a bit of acting. I found myself going around Italy in a show teaching English to kids, where I played a donkey called, what was my name? Gregory? Something like that. And a sheep called Mr. White who rapped. I mean,
amazing.
Really, it was amazing for all the wrong reasons. But we learned so much, right? It's so nothing better than being just in a van, 4 girls in a van, driving around Italy, eating pizza, putting on a slightly
dream.
Terrible show. It was just amazing. I loved it so much. And whenever young actors ask me for advice, I always say, find one of those jobs, because they are really fun. You learn way more doing a show like that than you will if you go straight to the National. Like, sure, who doesn't want to go straight to the national?
Oh,
But
of course.
you will
Wouldn't
learn
mind it.
far more turning up to a random village in Italy, having to ask directions to the school, trying to learn a completely different language, having to put up your set in like the corner of a hall, and then packing it all down and going off again. One of my favorite memories of that was one of the girls got food poisoning, and so the next day she couldn't do the show.
No.
So we had to we had to do the show with 3 people instead of 4. So that she was playing. There was a pair of chickens, and she was playing one of the chickens. So one of the chickens just came on and was going, "Bark, bark, hello, where are you, Helen?" And then one of us was doing the lines behind the curtain, going, I'm just in getting dressed. I'll see you soon. So we were having to do everything with this sort of mystery chicken in the background.
The mystery.
But anyway,
chicken.
Mystery chicken. I went to Italy and did that, and then I found myself in a musical in Edinburgh Festival. A brand new musical it wasn't great. I'm going to be honest, Justin.
Okay.
It wasn't a great musical, but
Let's be as honest as you want. I love it.
But it was fun, and we learned a lot. And that musical's never been seen again. And in fact, the person who wrote that musical,
probably.
that person who wrote the musical, often sends me messages saying, "Just would like to apologise again for that musical I wrote."
Well, at least they knew.
So yeah, they knew, and also again, great advice. I say, just do a musical. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. Actually, again, it's the point. Put it on, learn stuff. But it meant I was like, oh, I love musicals. I love improvising. I love stand-up comedy. Ugh, what do I do with all of this? And the answer is, you just keep finding ways to kind of combine things. And so then I started doing, I met during that Edinburgh Fringe, I met an improv group who needed a new person when they got back to London. So I just went and hung out with them and worked the box office for them. And then when there was a space, they were like, would you like to come and try? And I went, yeah, okay. So then I was suddenly in a group, and it was one of those things where you go, I can't tell you how to join an improv group because I just was in a box office and then suddenly was on stage. And then because I could do it, the door opened up. And that meant I started making connections in improv land. And that's how I ended up meeting Dylan Emery, who's one of the artistic directors of Showstopper. And he said, oh, me and my friend Adam Megiddo, I try to work on this project with Ken Campbell.
Oh, he's so funny. It's just great. Oh, excellent. Well, thank you so much for answering those. So what we'll do, we'll get back onto Showstoppers then, because you kind of touched on where you started with Showstoppers and where it sort of started. But I'd love to know what's kind of lay it out for audiences who haven't seen it yet. So what's like kind of the rundown for how to make this such a successful show?
So it's an improvised musical, and it does exactly what it says on the tin. So we are making up an entire West End level musical for the audience for one night only. So the audience comes in, you sit down, you go, oh gosh, what's it going to be? And we have a host character who's the writer. The premise is that he's a writer of a musical. Usually we have 2 main writers, Dylan Emery and Sean McCann. I sometimes do it as well. And Andrew Pugsley sometimes does it. Adam Megiddo sometimes does it. But they're our main guys. And they come out and they go, one of them will say, oh, the phone rings and it's the producer. The producer says, I've got a theatre. Have you got a musical? And he says, yes. So he's just bullshitting to go, yeah, give me the space. Hangs up the phone and then goes, oh my gosh, you have to help me now write a musical. And so then he gets from the audience the title, the setting, and 3 or 4 musical styles. So the audience gets a sort of a flavour of music from different musicals they might already want to see. People often say things like Sondheim, Rodgers and Hammerstein, Mamma Mia's been coming up a lot recently, Hamilton, things like that. So we'll do so some of the songs will be in the style of other musicals, and we pay homage to them rather than take the piss out of them.
Right.
So the vibe is that we are going to put on a great musical. We like to think of ourselves as a group of clowns who really believe they're about to improvise the next Les Mis. Okay. So we treat it with that kind of importance, but of course the settings are often quite ridiculous. Like you said, you saw the one that's set in a supermarket. That's not, of course they're super. In fact, the new Steps jukebox musical is set in a supermarket, I believe. So it's not a place that you can't have a musical, but a little unusual. So we often do supermarkets, IKEA, pirate ships, Poundland. I don't know if you have Poundland in Australia, probably Dollar World or something like that. Places like that. So, and sometimes they're historical settings and sometimes they're mystical settings. And so we literally then just come on stage and make up a musical. So it's one of those shows that I think you do end up saying quite a lot. If you have to go and see it to believe it, because it can sound a bit rubbish. In fact, I think some of our West End reviews started with, I was really prepared to hate this. Because they're just prepared. Like, well, it's just, I was fully prepared to not enjoy this. And I totally understand that, of course. And especially with the West End ticket price, gosh, I'm going to pay 40, 50 pounds for something that doesn't even exist. So we often liken it to football or a sport, we go, we've done all the training. We spend a lot of time workshopping ourselves, learning skills. And then we just putting those skills onto the pitch, because you never know what's going to happen, because you never know what the other team's going to bring. The audience being the other team, the audience gives us some stuff, and off we run. And then the host character keeps going back to the audience to keep us on our toes, to show the audience that we are making it up. Because of course, there's also lots of conspiracy theories. Everybody thinks it's pre-planned, or they will think we have earpieces, or we've got. For a while, we had a clock right on the front of the stage, a little clock from the Early Learning Centre, which is where you buy things for kids. It was a clock just so we could read it, and it was there, but it was sort of rectangular like that. And an audience member thought that it was an auto cue, and that we were all just reading this auto cue. I was going, it's much harder to just all focus on an auto cue and to get our lines.
That'd be so much harder.
Just make it up, right? And also, someone is still having to make it up.
Exactly. Like, imagine someone sitting there typing all the lines and being like, as they're going, and then that's even more impressive.
Yeah, we had a review once that had to be redacted because it was it said we clearly had just one script. I think it was set in Jurassic Park, the one they reviewed. And they said, clearly they've got one script and they just insert the word dinosaur to change it.
Oh, come on.
But it was so weird, right? Because you're like, we were playing dinosaurs. We were homaging the film. It was just so weird to go, how could that in any way have been anything else other than Jurassic Park the musical? But anyway.
So strange.
But that also is
there any... Oh, sorry. I was going to ask, is there any stories that have like shocked you or like stood out to you? Or like there's been a moment on stage where you got like a choice from the audience that you were like, what the F is that choice? And we're going to run with it. Something like that stood out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, loads. We did an amazing show. Someone asked for it to be set in their mother's head.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
Oh, well, what's that mean? And
what's that mean?
So we did this show. And it was, so the show is generally, it's billed as a family comedy entertainment show. That's what it's billed as. But occasionally what happens is the show is very, very beautiful, these are what we call like the golden shows, where they manage to be really funny and entertaining, but also really beautiful. And so this show started off quite funny. And it was just sort of memories inside this woman's head. So the guy going to visit his mum, and she's sort of recounting things, and then we were acting them out. And then all these memories started coming up about things that happened in her life that were slightly darker. And then it all sort of transpired that actually she was in a coma and she wasn't talking to anybody. And we were just her thoughts as she was sort of
Oh,
departing
wow.
from this land. But so we were on stage going, "Is this okay? It seems quite serious."
Are we making you cry?
Yeah, and it was real. And by at the end, we were all crying because it was so beautiful.
Oh.
And so that was really wonderful. So that's really lovely when things like that happen. But the person who sat inside my mum's head, their mum was actually suffering, I think, from Alzheimer's, and
Oh, wow.
so we had somehow sort of channeled the idea that we were exploring thoughts that couldn't actually escape.
Amazing.
So
wow.
that was pretty.
That is beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, really beautiful. And there's been a couple of shows like that. But then other things like that. Once we were on stage, and this was during the Edinburgh Fringe, and I think I was an emperor or something. It was me and Ruth Brandt, I think. Memories are weird, aren't they? Because I always fear that I'll name people, and then one of the showstoppers will call me up and go, "That wasn't Ruth, that was me.
That was me.
Go, sorry. But that's right. We were like sat on stage, with the lights and everything, and then I think we were in ancient Rome, and suddenly all the lights switched because there was a power cut. And the emergency lighting came on. So suddenly we were not lit, but the audience was lit by the emergency lighting. And so we just carried on. And suddenly, but now we just involved the whole audience as the audience at the Colosseum baying for blood. And so then the audience started playing their role. So it became really like interactive theatre. And then maybe a minute later, the lights switched back again. So things like that are great. When things like that happen, what's lovely about our production is we can just roll with it. Whereas, of course, if you're in a big shiny show with very specific direction and everything, that would stop the show. The show would stop.
Yeah.
It's very hard to stop the show.
Show stop. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's called Showstoppers, but you don't actually ever stop, essentially.
Can't stop the show. Even when lockdown happened, we were just about to go on in the West End, and I think it was 6:30 or 6 o'clock. They announced, no, we're closing all the theatres. This is it. We're not. People can't come in to see the show. And I said, well, we should just live stream the show because we can. Yeah. So can we stay in the theatre and live stream it? And so a couple of the guys just got their phones and live streamed it on I can't remember, Instagram or Facebook or something.
Oh wow.
And of course the other shows couldn't do that because of copyright and legal things. Yeah. So we were able to actually continue to improvise a show.
That's so quick thinking. Wow. How incredible. Well done. Amazing. Well, Pippa, I know we're coming to the end of our time together, so thank you so much for sitting to chat with me about Showstopper and the improvised musical and every single element. It's been great having a bit more insight because obviously, like I said, I've seen a couple of times. So getting a bit of insight for my benefit as well as the audience's is beautiful. And I'm very excited for you guys to bring it back.
Yeah, we just love it. So hopefully we'll be around for a good few more years.
Amazing. Well, I mean, we're always jealous down here that, you go to the West End and you just see the amazing shows you have. So I'm very jealous, and I'm sure a lot of people in Australia are very jealous of you guys. But congratulations on all the success, and I'm keen to see what comes next for you guys.
Thanks, Justin. It's been a lovely chatting to you.